Hey guys, Arm&Gun here today with a technical video. I'm going to try and make it as fun as possible. This is realistically a technical video on a very specific piece of kit for our beloved ACR. Now, a couple of housekeeping things here first, because I want to make it very clear that this video, while it's talking about some rather, well, suspect topics, there is nothing here that's going to constitute a violation of any of YouTube's guidelines. We're not discussing bump stocks, we're not discussing any type of full auto fire, we're not manufacturing anything or finishing any 80% stuff either. We are strictly taking a factory lower. Now, this is not a lower receiver because this is an ACR. And an ACR is not like an AR-15. The ACR, like the SCAR, has a lower group that has the grip, the safety selector, the trigger mechanism, mag release, bolt release, and magazine all in it. But it is not a serialized part. It is literally no different from a buttstock, a grip, magazine, or a handguard. It's just a separate part or accessory. On the ACR, the serial number is up here on the receiver, which again is up here. Typically the lower receiver, the part that holds the trigger components, is the serialized bit of the gun, but on the ACR that is not the case. So on the ACR, this is just an uncontrolled part. Not to be confused with an 80% lower, anything like that. It's just a standard part. And we're not manufacturing anything. I'm not showing you how to do anything funky with the trigger. All we're doing is taking all the factory bits out of the factory lower and swapping them in to the Templar Precision upgraded lower, which is just really nice. It's a billet lower, lets you put on your own grip and your own trigger guard if you so choose. Literally, this is like swapping out the handguard for this beautiful RPM tool handguard. So YouTube admins, please, there's nothing afoul here. This is actually a very technical video that's probably not going to get viewed by many people at all. I'm really just doing this to wrap up my video series on what I call the ACR 2.0 or the upgraded ACR. And as a bit of a community resource for all the other diehard ACR fanboys out there, because guys, we gotta stick together. This thing is a fantastic system. We all know it and love it. And I'm so stoked companies like Templar and RPM Tool are supporting this awesome system that was not given a fair shake by the OEM. So guys, there you have it. That's my disclaimer, my intro. And let's get going from here to here, because this is magical. Alrighty guys, so when you get your lower from Templar Precision, you basically have to swap over all of the parts onto this guy. So you gotta totally strip your factory lower. They do give you a trigger cassette, so you can repopulate the trigger components in here before inserting it into the lower receiver. Alrighty guys, step one, unscrew your selector, pop that guy off. That's gonna allow you to get the drum right out, push it on through. That'll just pop out, and then you can pull your whole trigger cassette right out of the gun. So here's my stripped cassette. Basically, it's got a roll pin in the bottom that I left in there because the one that they send from Templar already has that roll pin in there. Swapped over this part from the ACR, and now it's time to put in my trigger bits. These are Geisley, and they are pretty sexy. All right, so once you fight with your trigger pins, if you have slave pins, that's definitely recommended. But once you fight with these, get this guy back in here. She's ready to drop into the new lower. However, you also have to get over your takedown pins. So I found something super simple for that. I've got a ton of Radiant Talon safety selectors, and they all come with these really tiny little push pins. And what you do there is you just simply push in all the way and then pull this guy. Put some pressure on this as you let it out. And then let you pop this. Oh shit. Oh shit. That's not good. Anyways, cover this, but that'll let that thing fly out. There's a little detent and spring in there. Pop those guys out, and there's my spring. My detent is behind my tool chest now, so I will go find that and then reinstall this. But that's how that goes. Front and rear, easy peasy. Safety selector is pretty easy to move. Just push it on in. It's kind of got this weird spring in here. Just pop it all through, and you can get that guy out. Boom. And then to get this guy out here, there's a roll pin in there. So just drive this roll pin out and you'll be good. Quick PSA, if you're gonna wrench on your own guns, a good set of roll pin punches is a must. This first one appears to be at 3/30 seconds, and this one seems to fit real well. All right, so if your little mag catch spring flies out when you disassemble this like mine did, there is actually a little pinhole inside. Drilled in there, that's where the straight section of the spring goes. Pop that in there, and then the bent section rests inside the mag well. Like so. It's in there. That's where your roll pin goes through, this guy right there. and then that little guy hangs out and applies pressure. All right, so at this point, I've actually had a good chat with Dana over at Templar, and he informed me that I should have actually pulled off the bolt catch and release before trying to drive this pin up, because as you can see, it gets stuck. So this one is actually really simple. He mentioned the early models might have some trouble. Later models, you can literally take a small thing and just punch it out. It's a very loose fit. It's just under spring tension, which helps keep it in there. So I'm using a little tool that you get included with a Radian Talon safety selector. Nice little small piece. See, this thing pushes it really... There it goes. She's gone. This is retaining right now, so I'll pull this out. This piece comes off. There's a spring in there. And then this guy goes up. And we there have a fully stripped factory ACR lower. Except for this roll pin, which I need. All right, guys, next up my Templar lower. I'm going to start the roll pin here for the mag catch. Then I'm going to remove the trigger cassette because I wasn't supposed to put that in here yet because I actually need the mag catch in first. All right, let's take your mag catch with the spring inserted. Get it in here. This back spring needs to push inside the trigger housing there. And then we need to drive this roll pin in to capture it. All right, pro tip from the man Dana himself. Get a little punch or something like that to retain everything in there, kind of like a slave pin. And that'll help line it up while you drive this roll pin in. Boom diggity, she's in there and functioning just fine. Now we'll get this mag release here. You'll line up the far notch. So we'll just get this guy, we'll start it in from this side here, pop it in through the right side. Maneuver it over, kind of some finagling required. Get it in line, push it up and pop it in. And there you go. We are in, mag release installed. Now we can install our enhanced bolt catch release from Templar. He actually includes a little roll pin here as well, so we'll just go ahead and pop that guy out. And this is machined. It can actually only go in one way. You see a little blocking boss in there that prevents this from going in the wrong way. Pop that in like that. Grab our spring, seat that in there. Line these guys up. Again, it can only go in one way. Mate that assembly and then drive this pin home. And there we go. Pro tip, some finagling required. I kind of moved this up and down until I felt it just catch with a little roll pin, and then I drove it in the rest of the way. But there we have it. And I'll have to remove it again to get my trigger guard in there. Now just drop in your trigger cassette. I'm not sure if YouTube guidelines allow me to show you to do that, but drop it in there. And then we'll get the safety selector in there. All right, that's in, literally drop it in. Now you get the selector drum in there, and I found that it's actually much easier with, at least with mine, if the hammer's cocked. So that's cocked in there. Get this guy started and through. You have to lift up this little guy right here. And then she's in. Go ahead and install the selector on the other side. And that's it for that. Alrighty, gents, at this point we can toss it on our receiver set, pop in those pins, and get a quick function check in. Guys, there we have it. What a slick little unit. Bolt catch, bolt release, mags in, mags out. We're good all the way around. This thing is beautiful. There's a Templar Precision handguard as well, modeled after the Remington Defense, super famous one. I'm loving it. I just need to get a trigger guard in there and the folding charging handle. I've got a Gen 2, unfortunately not a Gen 1, which I need for this little guy right here. So we'll get one on here soon, but otherwise that's the Templar ACR build, all done for you guys. We'll get this thing out shooting real soon. We'll do a full overview on this thing as well. But here's your build video. Thanks a ton, guys. See you in the next one. Arm&Gun out.